Cool. We'll just give them a little bit more time. They're always late.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how has your day been so far?
So far, fine. All is well at Vogue HQ. We're on track to have our best trafficking month in history. So yeah, all is well. I think as I was just saying to you, I'm off next week, so I'm bracing myself for my handover document, which sometimes in the past has had chapters. So yeah, this afternoon's task is to write my handover for the next week. But I have a very capable audience growth exec who works for me, so it will be in her capable hands and in the wonderful hands of everyone else in audience growth at Condé Nast.
Fantastic. So you're going to totally switch off.
I hope so. It's going to be my first week off in the UK for about 4 years.
Wow.
So I don't really know what I'm going to do with myself. I tried to take a week off in the UK in November last year, and by the Wednesday I was like, I've had enough of this, and I flew to Berlin. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but it's going to be really hot. So although I can't go to Europe for a holiday, I'm going to be going out there in the park and sunbathing, which would be lovely.
Fantastic. Well, it's a minute past now, so let's get the ball rolling. Before I introduce you, Alyson, I just want to quickly say thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today we're going to cover a ton of areas. We're going to be looking at competitor research, keyword research, SERP intent, ecosystems, optimization, and also monitoring and reviewing performance. And when it comes to understanding their audience, when it comes to combining this with incredible content, as well as having a data-driven ecosystem approach and factoring in tried and tested SEO, literally few people do this as well as my amazing guest today, none other than the legendary Alyson Lowe from British Vogue. Alyson, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Well, thank you for having me. That was quite an introduction. I'm Alyson. I am Audience Growth Manager at British Vogue, where I have worked for coming up for 3 years, actually, John.
Wow.
I look after all SEO, reporting, social strategy, video, content strategy overall, and then recently also affiliates too at British Vogue. But I couldn't do what I do without the wonderful team that are around me. So I have the Condé Nast audience growth team is very good and exceptional. And we have a wonderful digital director as well, who's like the yin to my yang. So it all comes together like a little perfect formula. And last month we had our best trafficking month on the website of all time, which to achieve that under coronavirus, when no celebrities have moved from their houses for the last 3 months, is quite remarkable. So yes, that's what I do in a nutshell.
Well, thank you. That's incredible, and those stats that you talk about, they're amazing as well. So hopefully by the end of today, the audience is going to have, some semblance of an idea about how you thread all of that together. So as always, at the end, Alyson and I will be on Slack. If you've got some long form questions, if you've got quick questions, you can drop them into the chat as we go through. So let's get stuck straight into that topic of competitor research. We think about it a lot. How important is this for you, Alyson?
Incredibly. I watch them all like a hawk. We are so hot on what our competitors do. And the interesting thing I've noticed in the last 3 years is competitors kind of come and go, and you see new people, you see people go out the picture, someone will then storm ahead. So constantly eyes and ears open.
Okay, amazing. And you say you watch them like a hawk. Obviously, we're always looking at your competitors through the platform as well. Here's a competitor discovery taking, I think, about 1,500 search terms. Vogue comes out really nicely there at the top. You've got Elle, Harper's Bazaar, Cosmo, there's Glamour, aren't they everywhere? Over the past, you say 3 years you've been at Vogue, has your competitor set changed much? And in what way?
in the last year or so, I've seen more competition from US and Australian sites that we didn't necessarily see before. And I've seen SERP appearances from Australian sites, from US sites more than ever. I see really big news giants that are not necessarily in that kind of traditional fashion or lifestyle landscape. They will try and come in for red carpet events. And like, to be honest, even the BBC starts sometimes after some of the territory that I would traditionally say was Vogue's. And then, you know, there are some competitors that seem to soar ahead. To name a competitor that I know is doing really well and I admire, Good Housekeeping have flown in the last year.
I was going to say Good Housekeeping. We see them everywhere. They're obviously doing something right.
They are. If anyone's watching, give me a call.
Good Housekeeping. I'm going to have to, perhaps we'll drill down another time and look at them. On the right hand side of that chart that you can see there, we've got a slightly different view of the competitor landscape, and this time we're including SERP features, those increasingly important features such as images, video, and things like that. And if you notice on that chart, YouTube has actually moved up, and that's pushed down Elle, Harper's Bazaar. The Standard suddenly starts to outperform the Independent. The landscape really changes. So before I get your opinion, Alyson, I just want to run a quick poll. So hopefully the poll button is being pressed now so we can find out exactly what the audience think about those SERP features. Ah, yes, here we go. Do you currently have a strategy to optimize for all SERP features? And I'm going to include images, video, carousels, answer cards. People also ask all of this sort of thing. Let's see what the audience has to say. We should get the results in any moment now. No, not yet. 76%. Yeah, that's quite extraordinary. 24% yes, 76% have got no strategy. That's super interesting, actually. Let's just move on to the next slide, Alyson. And what I've got here is a kind of a visualization of an ecosystem. And I think the search query here is Alexa Chung Street Style. The great thing about this is that you know, not only does Vogue have the classic linking position one there with a really nice huge snippet, you've got an image result as well there in the top of the images, you've got a video result in a video carousel. So super example of an ecosystem approach. How important are these features to you, such as images and videos, and are you planning on pushing more of this kind of asset moving forwards?
Hugely important, and yes, absolutely. We're in the position where we're a very, very visual heavy brand, and words and the words and the text on Vogue are obviously really important, but visuals and increasingly video are also really important to our brand identity anyway. So it actually plays in really nicely that we're able to strategize on search for images and for video, because it's really core to our brand and we have the content anyway. But we have markedly increased our video in the last couple of years, and that's been a big strategy for us. But I think it's what you want to achieve with each particular piece of content, but also thinking, well, what does whoever's searching for this, what do they want to see? And very often with some of the terms that we're going after, if you think about the searcher intent, they're actually probably and likely are going for images or going for video, because a lot of the terms that we cover are so visually led. Yeah, we're going to cover that intent shortly. So, you know, so far we've got the importance of competitor discovery. SERP features are an important part of that landscape. Something that you know, people so often ask is, you know, it's about keyword research. It's about topic research. And I always say, and I'm sure everybody's sick of me saying this, SEO begins inside the mind of your customer, in your case, your reader, understanding what they're looking for, how are they searching, what search criteria are they using. Can you just give us some sort of overview about how you do your keyword research, Alyson? we use keyword tools, but it's always within the context of what are our readers actually going to want to find? What is someone going to want to find when they search for that term? So a really good example. Can I talk about the Beyonce example here, because this is
please.
the best.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to.
So actually, really, one time, someone externally from an agency said to me, "Oh, you know, you're like a women's lifestyle site, you write loads of celebrity, you should be really optimizing for Beyonce, because of course it's got, you know, hundreds of thousands of monthly searches. Of course, you know, that's a massive search term. But because I work on our site, I know, number one, I know what we're capable of ranking for, but also number two, think about if someone searches Beyonce in Google, what do they actually reasonably want to find? They want to find her Instagram, they want to find her Wikipedia, they might want to find her YouTube channel. So lo and behold, those are the top 3 results when you search for Beyonce on Google. Like, it makes sense, right? So even ranked number 4 with our page on Beyonce, it's never going to get any clicks, because that's not what the readers are looking for. So the strategy for us would be thinking, okay, what slightly longer tail keywords do we actually want to rank for, and do we have the right content to serve the purpose for that search term? So Beyonce style is something that actually reasonably you could want to find Vogue's gallery of her best ever style throughout history. So that's the way that we approach it, is being smart about longer tail keywords that, sure, they've got lower total monthly searches, but we're far more likely to actually get them.
Brilliant. And I really love that approach. And it's so true that, you know, that old saying that the long tail always outweighs in the end the head terms as well as the torso. So, you know, really great approach. Often people are really bullish and they say, I just want that term, I want to own that term. Look at the SERP as you do, you know, you can't always. In terms of things like Google's people also ask feature, do you ever incorporate that? Do you look in there as part of your research?
Definitely. If it's a long-term project, so for instance, when Meghan and Harry got married, we ranked number 1 for Royal Wedding 2018 for about 6 months, and it was our most read, I think it was our most read page of the entire year. So right up until I think the day before the wedding, when Newsy results started coming in, we ranked number 1 for Royal Wedding, which was quite astronomical. So, but then of course, big terms like that, there's always, or very likely, always going to be a people also ask. So I would be influenced by what people are also asking to make sure we directly answer that in the actual page, so that we have more likelihood of appearing. So yes. Brilliant. In a nutshell, yes, people also ask is really useful.
It is, and I wish more people would pay attention to it. Well, hopefully not your competitors. Okay, so we mentioned intent briefly. What part does intent play? What sort of role does it play in the work that you do in terms of understanding intent?
So I think it's everything, because if you're not giving your audience what they want, then and you don't understand your audience and you're not speaking to the right audience, then as a publisher, what are you doing? You know, if you're not speaking to the right audience, then what are we actually doing? So 100%. I think everything.
And the next slide is something you and I discussed a few weeks back, and it's a great example of how intent has changed over time. I love this one. Best face masks. We've got a matrix shot there from June 29. We've got answer cards because the intent there is informational. People want to know.
This has been such an interesting example, because we are one of the few sites probably that has been gunning for best face masks in both of its pre and post corona, or not post, mid corona guises. So a few months ago, January 2020, it was all about the actual face masks that you put on your face. Terms are so important to us. So we would be tracking that, gunning for that, really interested in the search features around that and the intent for what people were wanting to find, but it was all beauty stuff. Now, best face mask means something totally different, and it's about the cloth ones that you put on your face, but we're in a really unique situation that we also care about that. So this came up when we started, this came up last week, yeah.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. And when I look at this SERP landscape, and you see before you had Vogue, you had Cosmo, of course you had Good Housekeeping, replaced by Wired, Which, the Telegraph, the Guardian, and then we started to play around with the search criteria, and it was obvious that people are refining their search criteria. So in situations like this, I love to turn to images, and that's an instant understanding of intent there. So, and when we put the asterisk in there, that's a wild card. Are people searching for beauty face masks? No, they're not. They're not even searching for that because the intent is so strong. However, if you look at that chart on the right, beauty treatment face masks, that's a derivative. That's a longer tail term. Would you consider retheming your face mask content for that term in the meantime?
It's already underway, John, because I don't think this is going anywhere. And I think, cloth face masks, medical face masks, that's not going to go anywhere. But people still are going to want the other ones. They're just going to have to find another way around it. So absolutely, that's already on.
Wonderful. And that'll be a super interesting case study that I would love to talk about some more, because, it'll be a real demonstration. And how will you do that? You'll do that with titles, internal linking.
Yeah, it's because that's also interesting, is that we've now got 2 different pages being linked to around our own site from the same keywords. So initially that's a bit of a red flag for me, because kind of diluting both of them in a slightly bad way. So I would do a lot of internal link sorting. I would change the optimization on the beauty one.
Yep.
And then I guess it's just it's a case of monitoring it, isn't it, really, and working out when do you get to the point when we're far enough along the line where things start to cross over the other way again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be watching that closely. I think that's really, really exciting. Here we can see intent varies by topic. So we've got these matrix views where street style, it's it's very much informational, and lots of images in there. Some videos. Move to beauty, that's all about video content. It's all about people also ask, truly intentional. We've got lots of answer cards as well. So what are you doing differently for these different topics to make sure your audience comes into vogue?
I think those kind of stories can really be quite different. So something for like street style, I really care about image alt text. I really care about that being properly optimized. Newsy stuff, I have done a really big project with the team about how to write a good meta title, SEO title, whatever you want to call it. Because a couple of years ago, the team were writing on their news stories SEO titles that they had been told were like best practice SEO titles. And so, for instance, if it was a story about Kate Middleton and a new outfit, the SEO title would be Kate Middleton brown bag, which is what they've been schooled as is good SEO and good SEO titles, because it's got the keywords in there, and that's what they had been schooled to do. And it's probably what I was schooled to do when I started out like 5 years ago. But I've done a project with them to say, actually, you need to realize that the SEO title is really quite visible and it needs to be clicky. So I would therefore say, okay, let's make it Kate Middleton wears a new designer brown bag. So it's just something that makes more sense. Looks good in Google Top Stories, looks good on Evergreen Results, looks good on Google Discover if you get in there. But also, I've had situations where if we can't break number one, if we can't break number one for a search term, you can sometimes get really good click-through on position 2 or 3 if your meta title is really clicky. And our favorite example is microblading. So what is microblading, which for anyone who doesn't know is like micro tattoos in your eyebrow. What is microblading is a massive term, and we could not break #1 for it. And there was someone above us, I don't know, I can't remember who ranked #1 for what is microblading. We were in #2, so we changed our SEO title to what is microblading and does it hurt? Which is instantly like, oh my God, does it hurt? I need to find this out. For the record, it does hurt. And we really increased our click-through. We didn't move up, but we really increased click-through by working on clickier meta titles. So I think for news, that's really important.
Oh, that's super cool. I love that example. And it's also, you know, the way in which you can sort of actually say, I'm not just going to follow the SEO playbook. In this case, I'm going to do something that actually works and create a great doorway.
For the royal wedding as well, I realised that there was going to come a time after the date. We ranked so well for Royal Wedding 2018, but there was going to become a time when it wasn't referred to as the Royal Wedding anymore. It was going to become referred to as Prince Harry Meghan Wedding. So that was another example of thinking about intent and how we shape the features around intent. So we really watched and really tracked the search terms to work about when we flip it from Royal Wedding to Prince Harry and Meghan's wedding, just because we'd had such a strong piece. But there's going to be longevity in that. People are always going to search for it. You just have to work out how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I remember you guys doing that and that working super well. Okay, gosh, we're gonna have to get you back on for a future one, a future webinar, Alyson, because you know time is short. Okay, understanding your content ecosystem, you know, and what I mean about all of your pages, your content, your images, your video, your assets. How important is it for you to have a clear understanding, and how the heck do you do that?
Right, this is the biggest thing. If you work in publishing, especially, the amount of content on our site is there's a lot. If there's anyone listening that works in publishing, this is probably the biggest thing. Our site has been running for 15 to 20 years, and we publish 30 news stories a day. So it's ever growing. So the most important thing for me is that I have a really good view of actually what have we got, and especially with a focus on the stuff that's really important to us and the search terms that are really important. I know exactly what we've got. And it's also a really big part of our success as a team is that I've educated the wider members of the team and the editors and the writers that they also really need to care about this, and they know that for the big search terms that we really care about, if they publish anything related to it, so again, going back to, let's talk about the Oscars. When we write about the Oscars, if any of them write anything new about the Oscars, which they do, because it's important that we do, they know that it needs to be really carefully dealt with and properly linked to make it all work together in the kind of flow chart spider diagram of the content ecosystem. It's the biggest thing.
Brilliant. I love that. You are a true practitioner of contextual optimization, one of my favorite SEO topics. And let's just take a look at this amazing example of an ecosystem approach. Okay, The Crown. Must confess, I haven't watched it, but
have you not? It's no, so
it's on my list.
You have to.
Well, after reading this, I want to. So we got this great content here for something that everybody's talking about. This is amazing. You know, for this piece of content, not only are you in the answer card, you are positioning this piece of content for 8 really high volume terms. They're all above the fold. They're position 1, 2, 3. You got classic links, you got answer cards, you got images. Is this an accident? If not, how have you done this?
This is not an accident at all. This is years of work. You know, we've been writing about The Crown since before it launched, because we know our audience. We know they love royals. We know that they also love about TV. It's also a very stylish series, so there's loads to say about style. So this has been a long process of, over the years, building up authority around a topic that we care about, because you can't expect to have never written about something and then magically rank. It's not going to work. You need to you need to build up authority around a topic, so that when it comes to, when it comes to tea, like, it's all the previous days are like T minus 30 where you're building it up, but when it comes to that one day, whether it's the royal wedding, whether it is the Oscars, if you want to rank big on a big day, you have to have put the work in beforehand.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, because there will be people listening to think, oh, it's just because they're Vogue, it's just because they're an authority site, and it's not. The new EAT guidelines, you have to become an authority on a topic such as this. And you know what? You've done such a great job with this, Alyson, that if you can see in that filter there, when you click on images, actually Vogue is a recognized filter. It's almost synonymous with this show, and that's a great way of telling it. So we could probably talk about this one slide for hours. There's so much more I'd love to get, so we're going to have to definitely get you back on. Can I just ask you one thing about? Yeah, go on.
We've made video content with the cast as well, so we have things on YouTube with their key cast members as well. So it's not just been written content, we've also produced video and gone at it from that angle as well.
And the great thing that you do is you join it all up, you connect those dots. Google loves that. And just another example here on that same subject, we've got an answer card here. You also, in that rabbit's warren of people also ask, again, multiple presence in the SERP. Are you actively targeting those answer cards?
To the best of my ability, yes. I'm sure everybody that targets answer cards would say the same. My process with answer cards is, well, it's kind of simple. It sounds a little bit too simple. Is if you want an answer card and you don't have it, look at who has got it and what they're doing. And if if they've got a numbered list and you don't, then that's probably a very good sign. If they've got, look at the structure of their page, look at the way that they've keyworded, look at their keyword density, where are their inventory, have they got a table or whatever it might be. So it sounds too simple to be true, but don't just, it's really easy with SEO to get really stuck on your own site because there's so much to do, right? But if you just look around at what other people who are doing and people who are doing it a little bit better than you maybe, you can learn so much.
Great. Yeah, look at what other people are doing. We've actually got a really cool blog post on how to get answer cards, and I'm hoping this is going to magically appear in the chat over the next few minutes. Okay, moving on now to on-page and intrasite optimization. I love this example. Okay, what we've got here is a search term that people are looking for. Not only that, they're asking questions about it. Those two factors, you've created the content, comes in position 1. Very briefly, what's your process for getting that page to position 1?
Years of dedication.
We haven't got time for the full story. We're gonna have to compress it.
This has been years of dedication. This is routinely updated, routinely monitored. If this drops, I have a ping coming to my email and we deal with it directly. There's certain stories that would be on the hit list where if anything dropped we would take action, but then the person who writes, the editor that looks after this is aware of that, and she knows the importance of that and knows that it's a massive priority to work on things like this, because it is a really good proportion of our traffic is evergreen.
Yeah, I noticed your response times on movements like this are super fast, because I always see those insights in Pi chased around the building. So in terms of then monitoring, you mentioned you get those pings, you get an alert if something's moved. You've got a tool stack. These are just some of the tools that you use. Do you have any particular favorites from this? Something you can't live without?
Obviously Pi.
Obviously.
And I couldn't live without Google Analytics, obviously. Yes, I think it's like a little bit of a triple threat of having Google Analytics, Pi, and a keyword tool, and you can cross-reference them all against each other. Because also, if you cross-reference Pi with GA, you can see, okay, I've dropped one or two positions, but actually how bad is that?
Yeah.
And if it is, however, if hundreds of users a day, you know that you need to take action. But if it's nothing significant, so say for instance a drop from like 5 to 6, it's not at the top of my priority list because you cross-reference pi with GA. But then also similarly, if something's going up, you've gone up a couple of spots, pi will show you that. If you can see the massive gain for that in GA, you think, okay, right, well, I'm really going to gun to go try to put all of my work back into getting to number 1, because that's seriously worth it. So the cross-reference of pi and GA, you can look at the graphs next to each other, you can look at the tracking of a search term, and then you can just overlay GA traffic for that article, and it works together really beautifully.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm conscious we're getting close to end here, Alyson. We could have stretched it out for hours. I could listen to you for hours. Let's just finish off then with some of your top tips. I'll leave that with you. Go for it.
I think one of the most important things that I've really championed in my role is raising the profile of SEO in your company. And it's not a nice to have, it is an essential. Probably the best way to do this is to prove yourself with really, really good results. But you know, when I've gone to my managers or editors or publishers or whoever, and we've had some of our best trafficking days in history because of great SEO strategy, they will sit up. But the raising the profile of SEO in our company, so Jenna and Jeff, who are also at Condé Nast, are huge parts of this as well. But SEO is very, very respected, and there are very senior people who are very, very good at SEO. It's not a junior role to have someone to come in and assist the team. There's someone with good SEO knowledge has like got a seat at the table, and that's so important.
Brilliant, brilliant. We've got some others there. Do you want to just pick one more that really stands out to you?
I would say not getting overwhelmed with the data, because as SEO is super important to us. We really, really care about the data, but not at the expense of cannibalizing our brand. And we're a world famous legacy brand. British Vogue itself has been around for 104 years. Over that time, it has seriously evolved, and it evolves still. However, we have got very strong editorial principles, and I always like to say that we are data informed but not data dictated. So everything we do has to have that editorial edge, which I think is why it works so well that I'm on staff, I sit in the middle of the British Vogue team, I'm a big part of the team, and I'm central on that British Vogue digital team, and that means that I know everything that's going on. I know the site inside out, and we upskill people who know what they're doing at British Vogue rather than having consultants, because we could have consultants do what they think is good work and produce a dossier of things for us to work on, but I could dismiss it in 5 minutes if it's just not right for the brand. So it works for me to upskill people within the brand who know what's going on, and that's why I'm going to have another point quickly. I found success in identifying champions within the team. So there's a couple of people who are writers or editors on the team who are just really interested in data and interested in SEO. It's the people who would always reply to my emails asking questions. They want to be trained on stuff. And if you find these little champions, you can kind of nurture them, and then it really holistically informs the rest of the team. It's like a kind of process of osmosis of SEO knowledge.
That's brilliant. Alyson, thank you so much for giving us just some insight into reasons why Vogue performs so well. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. We'll be on the Slack channel if anyone has any questions.
Yes, we will. That's prompted me to move on to the next slide, which I always forget to do.
You need a new job. I'll be the presenter next week.
You can take over. Yeah. So and thanks for tuning in, guys. Alyson and I will be on Slack. Going to be back in 2 weeks' time, same place. See you soon.
Bye bye.
See you, Alyson.